Oh, okay, go ahead. And then we have our district governor nominee designate. Did I say that correctly? Mark Merriam. That's always a okay. And we have our guest speaker, Jeff Cochran from the Rotary Foundation, and of course our district trainer, Benson Medina. So did I miss? Is Sandy here with us? I think Sandy is going to be joining us, but I don't. And did I miss anyone? Okay, I'm sure. Naomi, you can correct me if I missed anyone. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. On Monday, we will celebrate the life of Martin Luther King Jr. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others, right? And as a Rotarians, I think it's pretty easy for us to answer that question, I'll say, because we're constantly doing for others in our community. Many of us are drawn to Rotary and stay in Rotary because of the difference that we can make in our communities. And alone, as amazing as each of us are, like I always look into the sea and it's like all my Rotary heroes are always here. And as amazing as each of us are, there's only so much we can do, right? And together with our club, we can do a little bit more. But one of the great things about the Rotary Foundation is that through it, we can change countless lives, both in our communities, our local communities, and then around the world. So why is the Rotary Foundation important in your district leadership journey? Because through the Rotary Foundation, you can literally change the world. And I know that all of you know this already. I know you've heard this. I know you've heard Laura speak so eloquently, much more eloquently on this. And you've sat through all these talks before, but on your district leadership journey, you will need to now look at the Rotary Foundation from a different perspective, not just how you give to and how you support the foundation, but how are you going to now inspire others to follow your suit. So I'm excited about our session this morning. And so at this time, I'm going to introduce our fearless leader, the reason we are all here as at the District Leadership Academy, our district governor, Naomi Masuno.
Wow, Wendy, thank you. But good morning. And I wanted to dovetail into that about Martin Luther King Day. It is a day to recognize him, but it is also a day of recognizing volunteers in service. So yesterday at a ceremony, a Martin Luther King ceremony, several of our Rotarians were recognized for their volunteerism. And, it's really hard to pick one or, even five. We did five, but is because we do so much good around this state and in the world. But we did recognize Dick May and James Ham yesterday, among others.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I should add, in the spirit of the month, since it's Foundation Month, it is the same Rotary year we had the last half of last year. But for the IRS, it's a new tax year. So today I'm sending in another white hat donation.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet.
But service above self is what Rotary is all about. And it's because of the Rotary Foundation that we are able to do so much good in the world. And so today we hear about the foundation, but as Wendy said, it's really about service and membership, because members feel good about what they're doing when they give and the service that they do. And the more members we have, the greater impact and reach in service that we have. So, Rotary Foundation recently gave out $30 million for COVID projects. And so when you think about giving to the foundation, look at the dollar signs, but think of all of the projects that you can do with that money. Yeah. So, we want to offer all of you a position on any of the district committees starting now or in the future. So each of the DG line selects a person to be on the committee, and this is to ensure that we have continuity and a broader base of knowledge on the committees. So if you are interested in any of the committees, to serve on the committees, please reach out to Sandy, Randy, Mark, or me. Let us know what you're interested in, because we've got so many committees. Laura is the chair of the District Foundation Committee, and she's got 13 subcommittees, 13 positions on her committee, and each subcommittee could have multiple people. So on the foundation committee, there's the vice chair, but there's annual giving, White Hat Society, Endowment Major Gifts, District Grants, Global Grants, Paul Harris Society, Polio Plus, Scholarship, Peace Fellows, Stewardship, Vocational Training, and Audit. Did I miss anybody, Laura? Okay, but you can see we need so many people on this committee because there's so much to do just in foundation. And so when you think about the other committees, yeah, we need a lot of help, and you guys would be really welcomed on any of these committees. So, you know, Laura, she's the godmother of District 5000 because she served on many levels in the district. She's been in the East Honolulu Club since 1997. She was the Centennial President 2004. She was a District Secretary 2005, Assistant Governor 2006, Membership Chair 2007, District Secretary again 2008. She helped organize the Peace Forum in 2013. And then she had Finance Committee Chair, and then now Foundation. And then on top of that, she owns a company, Hawaiian Island Medical, and they provide durable medical equipment for people so they can be comfortable and remain in their homes. But you know, Laura, she bleeds Rotary. She joined Rotary because she heard a presentation about Polio Plus and the efforts. And she says, when she tells the stories, she says, chicken skin and tears. And how can anyone not belong to this organization? So incredible. But she and John have participated in NID's National Immunization Days 3 times: India, Ethiopia, Ghana. They're major donors, Bequest Society members, Paul Harris Society, Polio Plus Society, White Hat Society, Sully Sullivan Fellows, and they really believe in the good work of the foundation. And so, Laura, thank you for all you do for your volunteers of the district so that we can do so much more in our communities and globally. Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
And now you can introduce Jeff.
Yes. Well, thank you, Naomi. When you started off as godmother, I had pictures of, you know, the godfather, and I was going, okay, I could be an enforcer. I could do that, you know, no, but thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And I'm sorry, Jeff, that mine is not going to be nearly as wonderful as Naomi's was. But Jeff Cochran, we are so delighted to have him with us today. And I know he has spoken at several clubs. He has really been a present with us here in District 5000, and we really appreciate that. Jeff's an annual giving officer with the Rotary Foundation. He's part of a team. He focuses on zones 25, 26, and 27. He applies giving trends, data analysis, and connections to empower Rotary leaders to acquire, retain, and upgrade donors, which fund more grants and create a strong pipeline of philanthropic support for the Rotary Foundation. Jeff comes with some great credentials. He had a decades-long career in nonprofit administration and management. He attended Loyola University Chicago, from which he received a BA in history. We always wondered what history majors did. Now we know, that's it, right? And subsequently followed that with an MS in public service management from DePaul University. He lives in Evanston. We're sorry about that, Jeff, but you know, we'll share our sunshine as we can. With his family, he's an active member of his community. In recent years, he served on the Mental Health Board for the City of Evanston and the Board of Directors for Peer Services, a local treatment center. He's worked in the nonprofit sector for 14 years, most recently as an associate officer with club and district support with Rotary International for over a year. Jeff is a staunch advocate in Rotary's motto of service above self. And we are giving Jeff the entire time with you. And I know he is an expert who is going to be able to answer all of your questions. This is the time for you to find out anything you wanted to know about the Rotary Foundation, but were afraid to ask. So take it away, Jeff. Thank you.
All right. Well, Laura, thank you so much. I don't know why you were talking down your introduction. That was pretty darn good. And I honestly feel like it's all downhill from here because I can't really live up to that. That's so many nice words that you just said about me. So I kind of went the opposite direction when Naomi described you as godmother of the district. I pictured you with these huge angel wings just floating down from above, granting wishes and making everybody's life better, which I can back up. As long as I've known you, you sure have. And for those of you that that don't know, Laura is just about everywhere in Rotary. Every single time I turn around at a Rotary event, especially now that we've gone virtual on Zoom, she's there, whether it's another district's webinar or a zone presentation. I think I was washing my hands in a public restroom the other day and I turned around and she gave me a towel too. So she really is everywhere. I can't even handle it. So thanks for all you do, Laura. Naomi, also, thank you. You've been doing an amazing job as district governor this year. We've had a couple of really nice conversations about the foundation and Rotary and just life in general. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I know how much of an advocate and how strongly you support District 5000. So thanks so much for your work. Wendy, thank you for your organizational skills and getting these leadership seminars together. It's really nice to be a part of this one. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. And yeah, I'm excited for this, for me, afternoon, for you guys, morning, to spend talking about the foundation. If I remember correctly, we have about 90 minutes together, 30 minutes for the first segment, then a break and maybe some Q&A, and then another second segment, or however, we'll play it by ear. But we'll get elbows deep into the foundation today, really talk about some great stuff. My plan for this morning is to talk, really just kind of give a high level general overview of where we are currently with the foundation. I feel like some of the things that we might talk about this morning, a lot of you have some expertise already, so it might be a little watered down. It might be a review for all of you, and I hope I don't offend anyone with where I'm going with the foundation talk. There'll be some good stuff in there too, some facts about where the foundation is at, how much we've raised so far this year, where we can go. And then the second half, what I'm really hoping for is to have a conversation with you as volunteer fundraisers and Rotarians. How do you best fundraise for the foundation, whether it be for your club, for the district, for the foundation, on a global scale? I have some resources for you as volunteer fundraisers. If you don't feel like your expertise is in fundraising, that's okay. I don't think anybody really expects you to be professional fundraisers, but everyone has an experience in Rotary, and because of that, we have an experience with fundraising and raising dollars for the foundation so that you guys can continue to go out and do this amazing work that you do in the world. So as we go along, part of the first half of this review of the foundation is by design to give you time to think about your experience as a Rotarian and a fundraiser, and some experiences that you've had that you think either can benefit everybody to hear about, whether they be positive experiences or maybe even a little bit along the negative end where you feel like you could have done something better, and we can all learn and grow from those. So think about those as we go along, because I definitely want to hear from all of you. Also, a little disclaimer, I do have 3 little boys running around our place over here. So if you hear some yelling, I promise you we're really nice to our little people over here. It's just sometimes it gets a little loud, as you can imagine, with a 14, 11, and 9-year-old boy running around this place. I think basically every piece of furniture we have in our house is broken. We have some holes in the wall because of temper tantrums, and it's never a dull moment over here. But just know, if you hear some yelling, everything's fine. All right. I think that does it as far as an introduction and what I wanted to get into here and let you guys know about. So I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint. We can follow along together. Of course, as we go along, if you have any questions, just poke me or holler at me. If we have any technical issues, grab my attention and we can stop and try to fix those. I know, Laura and Naomi, I know that you have a vast amount of experience raising dollars for the foundation, for Rotary as a whole. So if there's anything that you'd like to add along the way, any caveats, any additional information, please feel free to add that, because it can only add to the experience. And I think your wealth of knowledge will be beneficial to everyone. So let's jump right in, shall we? One of the biggest reasons why we're able to meet here this morning instead of in person is due in large part to Rotary's dedication to Rotarians being people of action. And that fits perfectly with RA President Holger Canuck's theme for the year. Rotary opens opportunities, and it's never been more clear than in our presently quarantined world. I've had the pleasure of meeting some incredible people since I've been with Rotary, your company included. And I sincerely mean that too. District 5000 is one of my favorites. And since I started in this role as annual giving officer, I think my presence with District 5000 has been greater with you than with any other district or clubs. And I'm really grateful for that because you're all some really dynamic people, and the district is just, it's firing on all cylinders right now. So fantastic stuff. This morning, we're going to cover several topics in our time together. First, I want to give you a quick overview, as I mentioned, of the Rotary Foundation with a particular focus on the annual fund. And then second, we'll review some tangible ideas to develop a strategy to promote and support the annual fund and by extension, the Rotary Foundation within your clubs and District 5000 as a whole. Before we get into that, I realize that to many of you, I'm a new face. My name is Jeff Cochran. And as Laura mentioned, I'm the annual giving officer for zones 26 and 27, and by extension, District 5000. I've been with Rotary International for just over 2 years now, starting with Rotary's club and district support team. Almost a year ago, I joined the annual giving team supporting your zones. I have nearly 2 decades of experience working in the nonprofit sector with various organizations, boards, and committees. As you can probably tell from my focus, from my title, my focus as annual giving officer is the annual fund. Inasmuch I am a resource to you as Rotarians and volunteer fundraisers, I can help train, apply giving trends, and analyze data to help you empower Rotary leaders to support the foundation. Now, as a career nonprofit professional, what I want to add is, I have had the opportunity and pleasure of working with organizations and boards across the nonprofit sector. And the way that I view Rotary is, and the unique organization of Rotary International, is that every club and every district is their own small nonprofit organization, right? Every club and every district has their own board of directors, whether it's legally by rote or if it's in theory. There's always leadership, and there's always people who organize for the small nonprofit that is your club and your district, and sometimes officially go out and fundraise for those entities. So all of you are nonprofit professionals in one sense or another, whether you think of yourselves that way or not. I certainly do. And it's a pleasure to work with all of you in that capacity. Nonprofit work is a passion for me. It does so much good in the world, and it fills in so many gaps that governments and corporations can't and don't. So the work that we're doing here in Rotary is essential, and it changes the world on a daily basis. And I think all of you have a sense of that already. The Rotary Foundation has 7 total annual giving officers, 6 in Evanston representing North and South America, and that's us on the bottom right of the slide, and 1 officer in Delhi working with Indian districts, and then of course several other fundraising professionals in international offices across the world. Additionally, there are other gift officers who work with your district in other capacities. I'm sure you know a lot of these faces already. Going back a little bit to the international offices on Monday evening, all of us on the annual giving team there down in the bottom right, we had one of our quarterly planning sessions that we do at the beginning of every quarter to figure out how we want to approach the foundation and meet some of our goals that we have as a team. And one of the people we included was our counterpart in the Australian International Office. His name is Robert Byrne. Wonderful human being, professional fundraiser, nonprofit organizer, has just a wealth of knowledge, and he was just great to talk to. And it's one of those opportunities that we get from time to time to connect with our international staff. And then of course, it never really hurts to talk to somebody with a charming Australian accent on top of it. So that was really nice to boot. On the left of the slide is the other gift officers that I work with in conjunction with working with your district and the zones. Beth Garrow, whom I'm sure many of you know, is the major gift officer for District 5000. I think actually she was just down there on an in-person visit right before quarantine hit. And I think she toured the islands and tried to drum up some support in person for the foundation. Of course, Erin Grobel is the planned giving officer for zones 26 and 27. She does an amazing job. And if anyone that you know or yourselves even have any opportunities to create bequests or willed gifts, or any other gifts that require a little bit more planning and organization, she's the person that you can talk to, and she'll be happy to do that. She does an amazing job as well. Cecilia Walter is the grants officer for the district. She's a wonderful human being. She has such a vast knowledge of grant work, especially the intricacies of Rotary grants, which are very complicated and multi-layered. But she's just a very amenable person, and she's great to talk to on top of it. And as a personal side note, she just had a baby. Her and her husband, Greg, who also works with Rotary, they just had their first kid, beautiful baby, and she just came back from maternity leave. So if you get the chance to give her a call and congratulate her, I'm sure she would very much appreciate that. So that's some of the other staff around Rotary and the foundation that work with you and help you with anything that you might need to raise funds or get grant work out into the world. Each of us that work at the foundation have one overall goal, and that is to help you realize the mission of Rotary International in your communities. If you've never taken the opportunity to read the mission statement of the foundation, I invite you to take the time now. It's often overlooked, but it gives some real just important context to the work that we all do and what we're about to talk about today. Shouldn't surprise anybody when we read through it, of course, but it's nice to know really overall the unifying mission statement of what we're trying to do here. If we drill down the Rotary Foundation's mission just a little bit further, another asset that we have at our disposal when promoting the annual fund are our 7 areas of focus. Regardless of one's preferred cause, Rotary International speaks to everyone's passions. No matter how you choose to give, I hope one of our biggest takeaways is gifts of any size have a big impact when they're leveraged through our foundation and our network of Rotarians here and around the world. Fundraising, supporting our foundation is as important now than it ever has been. And I know you'll encourage others to support the Rotary Foundation with a gift to the annual fund this year. I think many times we talk about fundraising, but forget that the gift that you give has a very real and substantial impact in the world. It's almost as if we give, but forget why sometimes. There's a little bit of a disconnect, I think, in giving. I want to take some time right now to look at a little more closely at a few of the specific projects that Rotary has made possible. And I hope you'll remember these throughout the morning and some of the other topics we discuss. Much like our foundation's mission, this is the real importance of the work that we're doing here. Here's one that is featured in Ukraine through the area of focus of promoting peace. The organization is Well-Being for Kids from Ukraine. It was organized by a inter-country committee between Poland and the Ukraine. The project came off in August 26th of 2017. It was partially funded and enacted by District 2231, which is in Poland. And the emphasis of the project was to provide therapy for children ages, not 71, that's a typo, 7 to 12 years old, experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder after their fathers had either been killed or seriously injured after the East Ukrainian War that happened shortly after that. A lot of great impact from this project. And it's projects like these that not only do they promote peace, but they ensure peace going forward, especially when we're working with children who have experienced serious trauma in that capacity, giving them the opportunity to heal from those experiences. Another great project, and water and sanitation is by far our biggest draw when it comes to giving. This one in particular is featured from the Dominican Republic. What you see in the picture is actually in the home of Rosa Dia, who lives in the Dominican Republic. This is actually a biosand water filter installed in her home in Puerto Plata. Isabel de Torres, the Rotary Club there actually enacted this in conjunction with partners from international Rotarians from Canada, the United States, of course, the Dominican Republic, and then other nearby Caribbean countries. Just an amazing project that had so much of an impact. Rosa Dia was not the only person who benefited from this project, but this was just the featured home, of course, in this project. The project itself benefited individuals from the entire neighborhood in the Aguas Negras region. Just another really great project. And, you know, water and sanitation projects happen all over the world. And in fact, I think sometimes we forget or even don't even know how much these projects resonate not just with the people that they benefit, but in other capacities as well. And I'm thinking back to maybe about a year ago, District 5300 from California, the district governor-elect at the time and district governor nominee came to visit World Headquarters for a tour and to meet with staff. I was one of the people that they met with. And Dan Goodrich, who was the district governor nominee at the time, now DGE in the district, told me this story. And one of my favorite questions to ask Rotarians when I see them in person or on the phone is, what is your Rotary moment? And so I posed this question to both Barry, who is the DGE, and Dan, the DGN. And Dan's response really it stopped me in my tracks, because I love how the ripple effect of these projects happen. And he told me a story about how he and his club had carried out through a global grant, a water and sanitation project somewhere I think it was somewhere in Africa. The project came off without a hitch. It was a great success. They did what they were there to do. But then he came home and he had this visit into a local school, an elementary school, and he told this story to the kids in this class. And one of the kids was so struck by this story and the impact that he had in this clean water project that over the next several weeks, he went around to his family and friends, and in this little glass jar, he collected all the change and folded up dollar bills that they had in their pockets. And then he got to see Dan a couple weeks later, and he gave this jar of change over to Dan, and he said, "This is for your clean water project. Please take this and use it to benefit the people that you helped in this project." And it's just things like that you take a moment and you realize that not only do these projects themselves benefit people, but they resonate. And these projects don't just happen in a vacuum, right? Everything that we do has a butterfly effect. And even if it's just a simple story that we tell to a kid down the road, it has an impact. And that's the great thing about Rotary, is that it slowly but surely changes the world. And we don't even always know how these projects will affect people, sometimes even who are thousands and thousands of miles away from the people that they actually benefit. Pretty cool story, one that I love to tell. And I'm sure that all of you have similar stories that are similar and relate to that. One last project that I'll point out, disease prevention and treatment. And this is, of course, we can't get too far in Rotary without talking about polio vaccinations, right? This was from 2019, not too long ago. This one happened in India. It was subnational immunization days. It was a week-long project. And it coordinated the efforts of Rotarians, Rotaractors, other health workers, and volunteers from across the state that it happened in. And the operation, it enacted 1,500 vaccination booths and many thousands of vaccinations for people from polio. And of course, polio is the uniting project of Rotary. Rotary's #1 priority as it stands right now, and it will be until all of the world is free from polio. Of course, you also may know that Rotary's polio eradication effort began in 1979 with a program to immunize 6 million children in the Philippines. This program would eventually evolve into what we now call Polio Plus. The World Health Organization recently made the widely anticipated announcement that Nigeria, and thereby the entire continent of Africa, was officially designated free of the wild polio virus, a pretty key benchmark for us in Rotary. Our work is inching ever closer to creating a world entirely free of polio. Given the surreal circumstances we find ourselves in, I absolutely love that disease prevention and treatment is one of our primary causes. If you haven't heard by now, the networks that Rotary has in place to combat polio are already making an impact in the fight against novel coronavirus. And I'll speak a little bit more to that in a moment. But obviously this area of focus is paramount, given where we are currently can only serve you and your club well in your efforts to make an indelible mark in people's lives. Now, circling back to disease prevention and treatment in COVID-19, countries with logistics in place to address polio are already well positioned to combat the coronavirus in several respects. A lot of the countries where there's some heavy polio presence, they quickly shifted focus to do demographic work, record data for us as far as how COVID-19 was affecting those countries, and helped to spread inoculation efforts and gather data for health organizations to make it a little bit more addressable. Not to mention here, there are hundreds of clubs who are making a daily impact with the help of district and disaster response grants to alleviate the hardships caused by the illness. In response to this new challenge, the foundation trustees immediately made a total of $3 million in grants for districts and clubs to apply. And you heard at the very beginning, Naomi mentioned the number of $30 million overall, which is just a mind-boggling number. Of the 3 million grants that was made initially available, those 120 grants of $25,000 each were met with just an unprecedented response. What's even more impressive is the outpouring of support from individual Rotarians like yourselves who gave millions of dollars to the Disaster Response Fund. In addition to this incredible work, I'm so excited to reveal that that we have just approved as an organization the new 7th area of focus. The board of directors and trustees just a few months ago approved it, and at the end of the virtual convention at the end of June, made it official that supporting the environment is now a new area of focus. We're gathering funding for supporting the environment for grant activity, and we hope that these funds will be made available at the beginning of the next Rotary year. If not then hopefully shortly after, sometime next Rotary year, we're looking at having some active grant activity for supporting the environment. Regardless of a Rotarian's passion, it's clear that the foundation's impact is felt far and wide. That's due in large part to the tireless work that you do in the world. Our trustees set some audacious goals this Rotary year to support this work even further. With a substantial goal of $410 million across all funds, the Rotary Foundation is nicely positioned to achieve its most ambitious year on record. Things have clearly changed in the past several months, and we can't be sure what the rest of the year will look like, given the limitations and interruptions COVID-19 will undoubtedly present. But our leadership asked, and to date, Rotarians are delivering. If we dive a little bit deeper into the actual numbers, we'll see that there are some notable changes from last year. Since we're about halfway, a little more than halfway through the Rotary year, we have some nice focus on what our fundraising goals and actual numbers look like. At present, the annual fund is down just slightly at 7.6%, along with Polio Plus down 9.1%. Additionally, with the endowment fund sitting at $33.7 million, we're trending toward the unprecedented goal of 2.025 by 2025. That's $2.025 billion in our endowment by 2025. It's cause for pause and celebration, and is a major testament to the dedication of all of you and your clubs. And I'll just pause here and just talk about these numbers a little bit, because there is a lot of red on the screen. It can be a little disconcerting to look at first. I will start off by saying this is not a chicken little moment. The sky's not falling. Rotary is not about to shutter our doors. The foundation is doing okay. And in all actuality, we're really not too far off from where we are normally this time of year. And to think that we're really kind of on track with our goals for the year, considering all of the limitations that the pandemic has put in place for fundraising especially, is pretty mind-boggling. So the annual fund is down 7.6%. I do expect that the annual fund will be hit hardest by the limits that are on us right now. And so I invite you as a group of volunteer fundraisers to really start banging the drum for the annual fund, because I think by the end of the year, even though we'll most likely stay somewhere near this number and this trend, we would like it to be a little bit closer to 135 million as opposed to being short of that goal. So that's the reality as far as the annual fund goes. And as we know, the annual fund is really what supplies district grants 3 years down the road. So the dollars that are brought into the annual fund share will come back to the district. At least 50% of that money will come back to the district 3 years from now, and help District 5000 enact some district grants. So the more money you raise this Rotary year, the better off District 5000 will be situated later on down the road. Polio Plus is down almost 10%, which is a little disconcerting, but you know, the nice thing about Polio Plus is that we have that incentive from the Gates Foundation. We have that 2-to-1 match. And so our ask in this, our part in this relationship with the Gates Foundation is that Rotarians are asked to raise $50 million. And assuming we meet that benchmark by the end of the Rotary year, the Gates Foundation will add another $100 million for a total of $150 million. That incentive is always nice when it comes to polio, and I fully expect us to meet that goal by the end of the year, mostly because of the Gates match. If we don't meet that $50 million benchmark, we won't get the $100 million. And that's a lot of money to leave on the table. So I'm sure we'll get there. There's always a big boost by the end of the year. And, you know, it's just, it speaks to us and our efforts and that relationship that we have with the Gates Foundation, this being the middle of the 5th year of the relationship we've had with that organization. It's gone a long way towards helping us meet our efforts. The endowment fund being down 22.7%. That's a kind of a big number. It's pretty substantial. The upside is that in past years, especially, we've overshot our goal. And so coming into this year, we were better situated as far as the endowment goes to meet our goal. And even if we do fall short of the endowment, which I seriously doubt we will, but even if we do fall short, we're still on track for that $2.025 billion goal by 2025. And just drawing again on my many years of experience as a nonprofit professional, for a nonprofit organization, regardless of the size, to have a goal of a $2 billion endowment, much less be on track to meet that goal, it's amazing. It really is. I mean, when you think about billion-dollar endowments, you usually think of Ivy League universities. We are by no means an Ivy League university, but having a $2 billion nest egg that we can sit on in the future going forward, especially heaven forbid we meet another challenge like we've had this past year, where dollars will be short coming into the foundation. If we have that nest egg that we can draw on in leaner times, it will allow us to enact more grants and put those in place and carry out that work at the same level that we've been doing in years past. So kudos to all of you for the efforts that you've put in to raise funds, especially when it comes to the endowment. You know, it's just, we're successful across the board, and it's because of your efforts and your passion. So thank you so much. I always love that nebulous other category, that other fund. Obviously it's doing okay. But you know, you put other there and it's like, well, what is the other? It is a little nebulous, to be honest with you, but yeah, other, there it is. Look at it go. All right. So we've keyed in on some numbers. There you have a quick overview of where we currently stand in terms of our goals for the year. With that in mind, it's important to understand why people continue to give to the foundation in such significant ways. The impact of your gifts is clear, but there's one aspect that's sometimes easy to overlook. Everyone on our polio and philanthropy team are conscientious about your funds. And we make an exerted effort every single day to act as good stewards for your investment. With 91% of contributions going toward program awards and operations, there are very few organizations across the nonprofit sector who use supporters' funds as effectively as we do at the foundation. The Rotary Foundation has been rated for the highest 4-star rating from Charity Navigator for the past 13 years and routinely scores well in different performance metrics for rating a charity's financial health. We just got word actually no more than 2 weeks ago that this is the 13th year. We just got the official word of that award. So, you know, pats on the back to all of us. You know, it's the sign of a really healthy nonprofit organization that we scored as well as we do and continue to. There's a really nice write-up on it on Rotary.org. If you do a Google search for Rotary.org Charity Navigator, you'll find it. Look for the article that talks about 13 years in a row, because there's a few on there from past years, but that'll give you the update if you want to go read it for yourself. While the Charity Navigator's rating is only a snapshot of Rotary's efforts and fiscal responsibility, we have proven over the years to be among the most competitive of our peers in this area. Only 1% of charities evaluated have received at least 13 consecutive 4-star evaluations. With an unprecedented 90% of donations going towards programming, it's no wonder that Charity Navigator, but even more importantly, Rotarians like yourselves, hold the foundation in such high regard. During our remaining time here, I just want to give you a quick high-level view of our most significant giving vehicles and recognitions and why they're important. Clearly, District 5000 is already very accomplished, and the giving culture is well entrenched among all of you and your clubs. I'm so proud of the hard work that your district leadership has and continues to put into the Rotary Foundation. As you carry the district's message back to everyone at your club, please keep in mind that there are several simple ways to inspire fellow Rotarians to give. One tool vital to reaching out overall foundation goals is Rotary Direct. And at this point, it can't be understated how much impact Rotary Direct is going to have in the coming year. With so much disruption in our normal processes and the potentiality that traditional payment methods may become temporarily unavailable, for example, processing checks, Rotary Direct expedites your gifts and ensures that it reaches your designated fund. And I'll just add to this a quick caveat. At the very beginning of the pandemic, the General Secretary, John Huco, asked all of us staff to work from home. It was an effort to make sure that we all stay safe, and I really applaud him for his quick response and how effectively he really made sure that all of us as staff were safe and healthy. Having said that, there's virtually no one in the building right now. And so when you send checks in, or credit cards for that matter, to World Headquarters, there's a significant delay in processing those. I talked to a district governor who sent in a pretty significant gift, honestly, to the foundation, and it took upwards of 10 weeks to get that check processed. And so that's an extreme case. Usually it's a couple of weeks, right? But when you send in a check to the foundation and you don't see it deposited for a while, it can be disconcerting and a little worrisome. So I'll say this: Rotary Direct is your best way to submit a gift to the foundation. It expedites it. It's almost immediate. You see it reflected in your account almost immediately. There's also another mail-in box that we have as an organization. It's the Collection Center Drive's address. You'll find it at the bottom of every contribution form that we have. You can find it on our website. If you have to mail in a gift, that's the place to do it. It's administered by Bank of America, and they have a team of people who take those gifts every single day and make sure that they're processed within minutes of them getting it. So it's a really expedited way to mail in checks if that's the way that you have to do it. But I can't emphasize enough, Rotary Direct and the portal on the website is the best way to do it if you want to send your gift into the foundation. All right. A little bit more about Rotary Direct. Last year to date, there are nearly 1,000 more Rotarians who've signed up to Rotary Direct, yielding over 2% increase in donations. Rotary Direct is an invaluable way to meet our giving goals and will pace the success in meeting our goal for this year, especially considering, like I just said, the potential disruptions in traditional payment methods like checks. Now, having said that, there's several recognitions that apply to Rotarians to complement Rotary Direct and help your club members reach their giving goals. The first of these is Sustaining Member, which recognizes those Rotarians who give at least $100 in a year. Sustaining Member is easily achieved by giving as little as $10 a month through Rotary Direct. Similarly, Every Rotarian Every Year, or E-Ray, encourages all Rotarians to actively support the Rotary Foundation by giving $100 a year per capita in a club. And I want you to pay close attention, or just really remember for the time being, put it in your short-term memory banks, this giving goal, and the one I'll talk about next, this $100 giving mark. It's so key to what we do in the foundation. Hang on to that piece of information, and I'll get back to that in the second half of what we're about to talk about today. And then this other one that I want you to retain is coming up now. Two more complimentary recognitions include Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society. A Rotarian will increase their Paul Harris Fellow level for each $1,000 given, which works out to about $84 a month through Rotary Direct to achieve both recognitions. Similarly, Paul Harris Society simply asks Rotarians to commit to giving $1,000 each year to the annual fund, Polio Plus, or an approved foundation grant. And that's the other giving level that I want you to remember for the short term, $1,000. So $100 and $1,000. All right, we'll draw on those in a little bit. These are three of the easiest ways to build strong individual support for the foundation in your club. If you or your club are sitting on a large sum of Paul Harris points, another way to incentivize giving is to leverage these points to motivate even greater levels of giving through, for example, 2-to-1 points matching for every dollar given in a month. The possibilities really are limitless in this respect, but foster a culture of giving in a club or a district that endures. With these being the three most accessible recognitions available to Rotarians, it's equally important to call attention to Rotarians who achieve these milestones. I encourage each of you to take time out of your club meetings to honor those who have achieved these levels. Not only will the recipient feel the weight of their achievement, but just as importantly, it will inspire other Rotarians to give as well. Lastly, just a few additional resources that are available to you that I want to call out. My Rotary and Rotary.org host a wealth of information, and we're covered a couple of times already this morning. In addition, my colleagues in the Rotary Support Center are still working diligently every single day to answer emails and provide some much needed clarification. As your annual giving officer, I'm always here to support you with anything that you might need. And of course, you have each other. We're fortunate in Rotary to have an expansive, knowledgeable, compassionate community. It's more important now than ever to rely on each other for support, both individually and for Rotary. And as much you have great club and district leadership to help you navigate the intricacies of Rotary and take action that speaks directly to your passions. Not to throw Laura and Naomi under the bus, but I happen to know personally the district leaders, foundation chairs, and all of your other district leaders love to get calls at 2 a.m. to talk about ideas for club and service projects. So call early and often, okay? Do it. I also invite you to get to know your district leadership who is here on the call today when you have the opportunity. Thank you so much. That does it for the first segment of what we're here to talk about. I don't know how you want to organize it, but we can do Q&A now. If we need a little break, that's fine too. But of course, I'm here for the long haul. So I'm here for whatever you need.
Does anyone need a break, or you want to go right into Q&A? I think if everyone's okay going right into Q&A, I think we can. If Jeff, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, I'm good. I'm well watered right now.
Make the most of having Jeff here with us.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for Jeff? Sean.
I have a dumb question, but
No dumb question.
Of course not. Only dumb people. I know that. But anyway, Jeff, thank you for coming to speak to us today. Can you utilize your points online? Can you go for recognition points? Can you do that online? That's always been sort of a mystery to me. Is that all done within the same donate button zone on the Rotary website?
So it's not quite done through buttons, but there is a pretty simple and easy way to do it. And I see somebody else actually had a question about points too. So we'll take care of two at one time here. There's a really expedited way to do it by calling the support center. Lovely human beings. My colleagues in the support center have to know a little bit about everything in Rotary to answer all of your questions. But one of the places where they excel is through helping people with points. They can do points transfers over the phone. There is a form. If you wanted to do multiple points transfers, there's a form for that as well. And it really is it's a great way to honor and recognize, especially new Rotarians who might not know how important giving is with the Rotary Foundation. It's a great way to incentivize their giving and help them get to that first Paul Harris Fellow level. So the Rotary Support Center is the best place to go for points transfers. There's also forms that you can email into them as well. That makes it a little bit easier.
So is that just the number that I could find that on the Rotary website, the support center call?
You can, and I had it, I think I had it.
I had it probably on the screen, but I didn't.
I'll put it in the chat box here.
Yeah, put it in the chat. That'd be awesome.
Along with my own contact information, I'll make sure that you have that available too.
Great.
One more caveat to the points question is that if you log into My Rotary and you go to your own donor history report, you can find how many points you have sitting in your profile, as well as look at all your past gifts, of course, too. But there's a nice, neat, easy way there in that report to find out how many points you have available if you wanted to transfer those over to Rotarians.
Thanks for asking that question, Sean, because I've been filling out that silly form all this time and it's driving me crazy. So I'd much rather make a phone call. That's beautiful. Thank you. And this is a time I just want to take this opportunity to tell everybody on this call, so especially for you, but to share with everyone else that right now, for the rest of this year, every new Rotary Direct sign up, whether for Polio Plus or for the annual fund, gets matching recognition points for 1 year's worth of contribution. So all you have to do is send me an email saying I signed up on Rotary Direct for Polio Plus for $100 because I'm also joining the Polio Plus Society, or for Paul Harris Society, $1,000, or for any contribution through Rotary Direct. let me know and I will give matching recognition points to that person. And for those who are signing up for Polio Plus Society, that new $100 a year commitment for until polio is eradicated, you also will get one of these beautiful In Polio Now masks. Okay, so take the opportunity to, you guys lead by example and do that. And then also let everybody that you run into know about it. Thanks.
Laura, I have a question. This is Conrad.
Hi, Conrad.
Hi. Is it only for new Rotary Direct sign up or people who have already signed up for Rotary Direct?
It's for new ones.
All right. Thank you.
But you know what? If you're signed up for annual fund, go in and do a second Rotary Direct for Polio Plus. Or I will change it to do this if you increase your Rotary Direct contribution. So if you've been giving $10 a month and you go up and you give $25 a month or go all the way up to $84 a month and join the Paul Harris Society, you will get matching recognition points for that.
That is a heck.
And
Laura,
email back to me is the only way I will know that. I cannot track it any other way.
And if
So,
you
Laura-
act out, I'll even throw in a free air fryer.
Woohoo! All righty.
That's just,
so Laura, would you let all the members in Hawaii know about it, or
Uh-huh.
how do?
Well, we have at different occasions, we have told people.
Oh,
We haven't sent it out to the world, but we can. I think it usually works better if it's a person to person kind of thing. So I'm counting on all of you to let everyone know. And a lot of you on here are assistant governors. You can let your presidents know. But you know, we are happy to do that. It's got to be. We really want to build up our Rotary Direct contributions.
yeah. What is the percentage in Hawaii? I saw from Jeff's presentation, the average is about 33% in Rotary Direct. But what's the number for Hawaii?
What a great question. I have no idea.
let me do some digging real quick and I'll see if I can find that.
Yes, Jeff might be able to find it. Sally Blanchard was one of those that we skipped over. She is our Rotary Direct chair for the foundation this year. So, you know, if you contact her, she will be happy to help you sign up as many people as in any way that you need as possible. Or so will I, you know, or any of the foundation team. And you can find us all on the D5000 website. Sorry, couldn't resist that opportunity, Jeff, right?
Great plug. Good job. You're doing your job like a rock star, Laura.
Like the godmother, see what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she's got so much information, but you know how she is so generous with her points. But I wanted to let everybody know with the new Rotary International website, the information on your personal donations has moved. So when you go up to the top on your name, there's an arrow. You click the arrow, and the drop-down menu has the option to find your personal donation history, and also forms to do more donations. So it did move from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. But hey, Jeff, I wanted to let you know that Mariko and I were at a meeting with Wailuku the other day. There were 12 Paul Harris Fellow recognitions, 12.
Oh my God.
And they became 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club again. So yeah, awesome club.
So amazing. I love hearing that. Yeah, I mean, the foundation is alive and well in clubs in the district. And, you know, this is one of my favorite places to visit because it makes me feel like I'm doing my job amazingly well. And I get to tell my boss about it and he thinks I'm a rock star. So keep up the great work, everybody.
Jeff, in some of the other nonprofits I'm involved in leadership positions, you know, it's a small group and we go ask people for philanthropy and they always ask us, do you all have skin in the game? They don't ask us how much we donate, just ask, want to make sure everyone has bought in. As a Rotarian, when we go out, for example, in my club to do something where we're looking at some public funding, we usually do it through their participation in events and fundraisers and things we do. we haven't really done any direct solicitation for non-Rotarians to contribute to the foundation. What's your take on that and how that all might work?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic that we have with non-Rotarians. Obviously, we won't ever turn away money. So if they give, we'll take it. And usually if it's a non-Rotarian who's giving, you know, they have some sort of a connection with Rotary to begin with. It's a family member who, you know, their grandparents or parents had some sort of a strong connection with Rotary. Or we do have some corporate givers. While that's a kind of an untapped resource for us at this point, and it's something that we're hoping to grow in the next few years. Corporate giving is an avenue that we do take gifts from also. A lot of, especially more major corporations have corporate matches that they do. So if an employee wants to give, the company will match their gift. And that's something that we come across. I'd say it's actually kind of a growing trend in Rotary. I've talked to a couple of Rotarians in the past couple of months even who they've given corporate gifts and corporate matches. So yeah, it's a question that we're kind of exploring. I think the position that we're in is interesting because as staff, we really have a hyper focus on Rotarians and trying to up Rotarian giving. And so if there were non-Rotarians who were to give, it would probably come from Rotarians themselves who explore that as an opportunity. Not to say that we don't want it, but you know, we try to dedicate all of our resources to being support for Rotarians ourselves. So we feel like that's where, you know, when you give, the dollars go to support you and Rotary. So we want to make sure that we give that back and be as good stewards for your money as possible.
Okay, real good. Yeah, I think we always approach it from the standpoint that if we have someone interested, we're also looking to see if we can recruit them to become Rotarians. But with regard to the corporates, the reason I brought that up, because we had a corporate entity that came to one of my other organizations and offered us a $500,000 matching grant, and we matched it. And obviously I, among others, tossed some money in to help. But that's something that occurs to me that there might be an opportunity for a Rotary club to be able to do if the right opportunity occurs with a local business.
Yeah, there are a few clubs, but really I should say districts who are looking into that. I'm thinking specifically of, you know, obviously Silicon Valley would be a great place to start with something like that. And that would be District 5170. I know that that district in particular is exploring how to best tap into that market and try to generate funds from like the Google and the Apple types, and see if they can bring in some dollars from those organizations. But as of yet, it's really just, it's exploratory. So we're hopeful. If you ever take a visit of World Headquarters, if you come to Evanston, Illinois, the foundation is, all the staff works on the 17th floor. The building itself is 18 stories. So the executive management is right above us, foundation, and then everyone else. But when you come right off the elevator on the 17th floor, it opens up and you see to the right is the Arch Clump Society gallery where everyone who's in the Arch Clump Society is featured. But then to the left, we have plaques of corporate givers, and you can see pretty nicely who the corporations are that support the foundation to this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
James, go ahead.
So I just wanted to dovetail on what Dick asked, and I was wondering, I kind of had two questions, I guess my own question, but also on what Dick was asking. Out of those corporate matching organizations or companies, would you guys actually happen to have a list of which corporations actually have done matching, and just so that we could reach out to some of those friends, you know, that maybe, you know, living in Silicon Valley or living in or working for different corporations? Because I know Apple's, you know, Apple employees that, you know, they have moved to Hawaii to, you know, to do their old tech work from here, you know. And I just want to see if you might have that resource available, just kind of to throw them under the bus, and maybe you could ask them some, you know.
Yeah, that's one bus that I hope does hit them hard. It's funny you ask, because I do have that resource handy. It's on my desktop here, so I just have to wade through all my other PDFs to find it. But let me see. Oh, there it is right there. Look at me be organized. Holy cow. So if you go to, this is the URL, it's pretty easy, honestly. It's www.rotary.org/matching gifts. It'll take you to a website that we've established that shows which corporations, at least ones that we know of, who do corporate matching. So you can enter the corporation's name into the field, and it'll pull up the information necessary to make that corporate match happen. So it's a pretty nice resource to keep on hand.
Great. And in addition to that, because a lot of these corporations, I think, are doing well, especially the tech sector, I was just wondering, obviously with how the foundation works with the investments that actually the foundation is doing, is there actually a lot of success this year with those investments? And, and I was just kind of, I don't mean to go into the nitty-gritty details of where all the funds are going, because obviously I don't know if that's transparent to us per se, but how is it doing? How are these investments? It sounds like, in terms of the amount of giving, it might be less, but are those investments doing better than previous years?
Another great question. I'm glad you don't need to know the details, because that's way above my pay grade. But we do have a whole team that manages the investments that we bring in, or the funds that we bring in towards the investments. And then we outsource that to an organization whose job it is to manage investments. So we have it kind of double teamed in that sense. If you go to our annual report, which is available freely on our website, you can find the specifics about the investments, what they bring in, and how they're distributed. What I can say is that because of the way it's structured, those investments, really traditionally, the way you think of it is every dollar that a Rotarian gives comes back to Rotarians in either the form of DDF, district designated funds, or global grants. And then the extra that's brought in from those investments is used to pay for overhead, whether it's staff salaries or the building that we work in, or things like that. So we don't draw down on that investment, the initial investment, so that we can really genuinely return as much to Rotarians as possible. So it's a really nice system that's worked out. But as far as the details go, you can find that through the annual report on the website.
Thanks. Yeah, I just feel like a lot of I know a lot of corporations, a lot of my friends in certain hierarchies, I guess, of society seem to be doing very well this past year. So I definitely be hitting them up a lot more, I think, than so I just wanted to kind of talk about the overall trend. Thanks.
Yeah, no doubt. Thanks for that.
Dave Hamill.
Yeah. Hi, Jeff. Thanks so much for this presentation. This is great. I want to dovetail on what James just asked you. Can you give us a snapshot of what the trends are globally? We've seen here in the district membership declines, and I'm assuming those kinds of trends are global. How has that affected the giving? And then second question, if I may, what's going to happen after polio is eradicated? Does Rotary have something big on their screen of what to manage next?
Yeah, thanks for those, Dave. First and foremost, I'll say as far as the trends go, you're correct that membership is on the downswing, especially in the United States and North America. We have this really interesting dynamic that's occurring in Rotary, where even though membership is going down, gifts to the foundation are going up. And obviously that's not a sustainable way to go about things, right? You would rather have membership increasing so that over the long term, gifts to the foundation can increase too. But we have a really significant sector of givers as far as Rotarians go to the foundation. And we're so grateful for that. It can't be overlooked and overstated how incredibly generous Rotarians are. And every year, the foundation trustees create these goals of what they'd like to see our organization do. And every year, Rotarians show up and they meet those goals. Usually, honestly, they exceed those goals. And so the $410 million overall foundation goal that we have, we fully expect that to be met and exceeded again this year, which is phenomenal considering that there's a global pandemic happening, right? So what we will expect, and this isn't unreasonable considering the way that membership trends are going, we fully expect that at some point, probably sooner rather than later, foundation giving will start to match what membership is doing and start to go on the downswing as well. So what we really see organizationally is we talk about those three pillars, the foundation, membership, and public image. What we really fully expect is a focus on membership and help to improve and strengthen the other two legs of that triumvirate. But as of now, the trend is pretty on course, and we're super grateful for that. As a professional fundraiser, I can't think of a better organization to work for than Rotary, simply because Rotarians are so generous. So as far as the second question goes, first, let me stop. Did that answer your question, and do you have any follow-up from that? Okay. And then as far as the second question goes, as far as what our priority will be after polio, we're fully focused on polio right now. Our priority is polio and eradication of polio. We still have 2 countries to go, Afghanistan and Pakistan. They're really challenging as far as fully eradicating the wild polio virus. There are conversations and thoughts about what that priority will look like and what our focus will be, but there's nothing substantive and there's nothing definitive that's come from those yet, simply because we do want to focus on eradicating polio globally. And having said that, once we do eliminate and eradicate globally the wild polio virus, there's still follow-up efforts that need to happen, right? It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Just because the virus has been eliminated, there's still other types of polio virus that exist in the world. There's other relief efforts related to polio that need to happen too. So we'll be focused on polio for a long time. We do fully expect that in the near term, hopefully, polio will be eliminated. And so our senior management and our board of directors and trustees are having those conversations, looking at what priorities could be and where we could shift focus to put our weight behind as an organization. And when the time comes, we'll make that very well known. First, there's going to be a huge party because polio's gone, right? And there's a lot of people that fully expect Rotary as an organization will be in line for a Nobel Peace Prize once that happens. Now, I don't know how realistic that is. I can fully see a nomination happening at the very least. But the world is going to know the work that you as Rotarians have done over the past 40 years. And it's going to be well publicized. And that's going to be one of the greatest boons, I think, to Rotary as a whole, boosting membership, boosting gifts that come into the foundation, when we can say, look at what we've done as an organization. And this is the type of work that we do. We can accomplish anything as an organization, but as a human experience, we can make this happen if we all band together. So we're going to know about it pretty thoroughly once it does happen. So we'll see, I guess, is the short answer.
Any other questions for Jeff? Great opportunity to ask all your questions. Naomi, do you have any questions for Jeff or Laura?
No, but I think Jeff has some more content to deliver.
I do.
Only 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, so
fine. This shouldn't take too long. And really, like I said, I would love for this more to be, instead of me talking at you, I have some ideas that I want to put out there. But I also want this to be a conversation. And I want to draw from your collective experiences as fundraisers in Rotary, some successes you've had, some challenges you've had along the way, and how we can work to be a better team of fundraisers to make the foundation more of a success. So let me pull up some more slides here. Oh yeah, go ahead, Doug. Did you have another question?
I did. Apologize for outside, but briefly, one of the things, maybe you could target the current situation, which is lots of folks are in a tough way, and our ability to fundraise both in our businesses, even within our clubs, but outside in the community. You know, we're cognizant of the other nonprofits that are out there as well, because we're all community members. How is Rotary taking a look at this? I mean, I can't imagine it's don't worry about anybody else, and yet we still need to be raising money.
Well, Doug, I can't think of a better segue into what I'm about to talk about than what you just asked. So let's jump right into that, and maybe your question will get answered, and we can have that conversation as we go along. Before I start, and this kind of speaks actually to what you just asked, but I took a little bit of time yesterday to review the servant leadership seminar that you all had a couple of months ago. And Wendy, you actually have a quote that I loved, and I think it relates directly to Rotary and the foundation and fundraising. You said right early on in the seminar, true test of leadership is how well you function in a crisis. Crisis moments create opportunities because it forces us to focus on things outside the norm. And how true is that in fundraising right now in Rotary, right? I mean, this is a crisis that we're in. We have been for a year. It seems to be getting worse before it gets better. But we still have jobs to do in supporting the foundation and making sure that grants are available to Rotarians who want to carry out some really incredible work and maybe even focus on some of those alleviation efforts. And so all of you as Rotarians are servant leaders in that respect, and this is the perfect opportunity to ask. And let me show you what I mean by that. I did have some notes here. Let me see if they're relevant before I skip all this, because this is really exciting for me. That this is really, we're just kind of jumping right into it. Bear with me here while I get this back up on the screen. So clearly, fundraising is not everybody's strong suit, and not everyone is comfortable with asking people that they know, especially for gifts. And there are some pretty common fears when it comes to fundraising. And I think this, Doug, kind of addresses a little bit of what you were talking about, is how do I go to people in a way that's not awkward? We can be comfortable in the situation, ask, and try to generate some dollars for the foundation. And these are some of the common, I feel like, misconceptions when it comes to fundraising. And maybe you can even relate to some of this. Maybe you've had some of these experiences yourselves. It can be a little intimidating, especially when it comes to some Rotarians who have some means and they're willing to make some substantial gifts. How do you go and talk to your friends about giving those gifts? And I think on the other side of it too is the reality that, especially in Rotary, I mean, we're such a captive audience. People want to give. And I think this speaks more directly, Doug, to what you were talking about. Rotarians especially, but all people who are potential donors across all the nonprofit sector, they want to give. And there's a reason why we want to give as donors, and that is because we get something from it. We get the satisfaction of knowing that our money has impacted the world in a positive way. And I think one of the things that I've noticed in Rotary is that there's two different types of Rotarians, maybe three, if I'm being honest, three different types of Rotarians. There's people that can give their time, there's people that can give their money, and there's people that can give both. And I think no matter how people contribute to Rotary and in what capacity, they're all important. I think the trend, especially in some younger Rotarians who are coming in through the doors, and younger clubs especially, is that they focus more on giving their time and talent. They want to go out into the community. They want to get hands-on, make an impact, and make a change that way, and a direct impact in that sense. And then there are the Rotarians, and not to stereotype people, but it tends to be older Rotarians who have means and who've worked, you know, maybe they're towards the end of their careers or they're already retired and they have some means at their disposal to make an impact with their finances. And they want to make their impact on the world that way. And so to answer your question, Doug, it's important to ask. And just because the global economy and more local economies have been impacted negatively because of the pandemic, that doesn't mean that there aren't people who want to give, especially maybe they don't have the money to do it. They have the time and the talent. Or conversely, maybe they do have the finances and they're comfortable enough to be able to make those gifts. So yes, the world has been impacted like it really never has been before, or at least maybe 100 years ago. But we can still ask. And I think that charities have a special place right now to make that impact felt. So again, speaking a little bit to what you were talking about, Doug, there's some trends in the past year especially that have really come to the surface in recent weeks and months. This is from a Gallup poll that was taken. And it's pretty clear that people still intend to give to charities, especially in nonprofit organizations. 91% of households still expect to give the same amount, 66% of those giving the same amount, or 25% more than last year. And that's a pretty startling number. Obviously, this isn't the entire population, but of those who give, 91% are going to at least give the same amount that they gave. And so I don't think we should be worried too much about asking people. And I think that there are enough people who are willing to give that there's enough of the pie to go around to all organizations. 72% of corporations, going back to our conversation a little bit ago, they have increased giving to nonprofits. And of those successful corporations that are bringing in substantial amounts of money, I'm sure that they have it in their line item in their budget to increase those numbers a little bit this year too. There's a pretty clear need everywhere. And I like those three trends that's mentioned in that bullet point and that statistic: disaster relief, health, and food security. I mean, those three areas should sound pretty familiar to all of us. Rotary is integral in those three areas, especially in the past year. Disaster relief, we have an entire fund set up by our trustees of our foundation to address disaster relief. Health, I mean, there's a clear need for help in health. And I can't tell you, this is just anecdotally, but I call around to clubs, I call around to donors for some stewardship opportunities to thank them for gifts that they've recently made, ask them how things are going at their club. And time after time, their club is directly involved in food relief. There's such a need in local communities. People are going hungry all around us, which kind of speaks to the dichotomy of those who are willing to give and those who need the help. But clubs especially are so dramatically and directly involved in food security issues. And so they're either giving money to support food banks or they're out there directly handing out food to people who need it. The past 5 years, that next bullet, the past 5 years were the most generous giving years on record. That should tell us something. And I think even though in spite of the economy's taken a dent in the past year, those who are able to give again will, and we probably won't be too far off of that trend this past year. And then of course, as you would imagine, there's been a seismic shift towards digital giving in the past year, which I think again fosters the idea and underscores the need and the importance for online giving and how important Rotary Direct is for Rotarians. All right, having said that, those are just a few numbers to throw out there to prime the pump and get you ready for what we're about to talk about. We on our annual giving team and across the nonprofit sector for fundraisers look at a 4-step process to fundraising. There's identification, cultivation, solicitation, and stewardship. None of this should be mind-boggling or mind-blowing to you. You probably have an innate sense of this is how it works, even though you can't put specific names to it. It's pretty clear that this is what we do when we fundraise. And when you go and you talk to your fellow Rotarians and talk about giving towards the foundation, you already do a lot of this stuff to begin with. Again, it might not be a conscious effort necessarily, but you do it in some way, shape, or form. And identification is the first step in this, right? You have to know who it is that you're going to go to and talk to. And Rotary has some resources available to you, especially the higher up you are in the Rotary ranks, AGs, district governors, DRFCs, even club foundation chairs and club presidents have some tools, some reports at their disposal to make it clear some trends and who to identify as far as cultivating gifts in your club. So use those reports through my Rotary and Rotary Club Central. They're invaluable. I could give a whole nother session and seminar on reports that are available and the best way to use them. Obviously, I think I have like 7 minutes left here, so I don't have the time to do that now. Maybe Naomi, I can come back and talk to you guys again about those, but just know that they're there and take the time. I highly encourage you to explore those on your own. See what you think jumps out at you and what you can be the best resource to you as far as some of those reporting mechanisms go. Use those relationships that you have inside and maybe even outside of Rotary, talking about non-Rotarians giving. Who do you think would be a good target to give, and who can increase your giving levels, whether it be at your club or the district as a whole? And then connect. And we have a great way of doing this in Rotary, connecting with people in a real substantial way. I mean, I think Rotarians have a great nose for people who are kind of putting on a pretense. For me, what carries the most weight and depth when it comes to fundraising, especially, is when somebody has a message that's real and substantial and has some real stories of impact associated with it. And so if you don't already, think about your Rotary moment. What's that moment in Rotary where you said, this is it for me, and this is why I'm coming back to my club meeting every week. This is the impact that I can have in Rotary, and share that with people, connect with them, say, this is why I'm here. This is why I give to the foundation. And this is why I think you should too. Then the next step in this process is cultivation. And of course, those relationships that we already have, we just build on those. We build on them in a little bit of a different way, and it can be friendly in tone, or it can be a little bit more professional, but we build on these relationships to discover donors' passions. And it starts again with that Rotary moment. Talk to them about yours, see what they're passionate about. Where do they want to make an impact in Rotary and in the world and in their communities? Communicating and sharing information, be open and transparent. Again, don't put on a pretense. Let them know what it is we're doing here. Why are we raising these dollars? What does it go towards? What's the impact? How successful are we? Which you can let them know the foundation is incredibly successful at what we do. And then show that impact of what the gift is. You know, we need to know after the fact, somebody gives $100, what's the impact of that $100? Who is it going to affect? And if you have any stories of how that ripples out and reverberates into the world, like I shared with you, my district governor nominee friend from District 5300, so much for the better, but direct impact is key. Solicitation, I forgot to change the heading at the top there. I apologize for that, but solicitation is next. And that's the actual ask, right? And this can be a pretty intimidating part of the process, but this is really where the rubber meets the road. All this work that we've been doing to this point about identifying and cultivating, this is the payoff. Solicitation is when we ask people, would you like to give? How much are you going to give? Where would you like to give to? All of this is important information to have so that we can be great fundraisers. And the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. There's a couple of different ways to do it. And of course, there's the direct ask. The Rotary Foundation has created a customizable appeal. And so if you at some point want to do an email campaign or a direct mailing campaign, use that customizable appeal. It's at your disposal. If you can't find it through the website, I'm happy to email it to you, make it really easy to make that process happen for you. It's really effective too. It's a really nice piece that our teams have put together. And then last but not least, it's donor stewardship. This is basically saying thanks, and how we say thanks can take many different shapes and sizes and forms. The important thing is to make sure that the donors felt they experience some gratitude for the gift, and that the impact is felt. There's letters you can send, there's emails you can send, and of course there's always the look them in the eye in person and say thank you. That's always, for me, the most effective way. I love making phone calls and talking to people and finding out a little bit more about them personally, how their club is going, and how they want to continue to give to the foundation. Because you can tell from the graphic on the left, it's a circle. It comes back around, right? So if you say thank you, and there's a statistic out there that says, I think it's 80% of people who are thanked for their gift are that much more likely to give again. So it can't be overstated how much important stewardship is, and return giving, really. These numbers that I told you to pay attention to before, the $100 and $1,000 giving levels, you can see across the board from the past several years of what the foundation has brought in. The engine that drives the foundation are those two giving levels, and they fit nicely with E-Ray and sustaining member at that $100 level. And you can see the numbers there. It's the most effective and biggest group of donors that the foundation has. And see how much money on the far right it's raised last Rotary year. Over 35, almost $36 million from that one giving group, to underscore and emphasize the simple fact that it doesn't matter how big your gift is, just give. There's an impact there, and it's substantial. And we can't do this without you, regardless of your giving level. And of course, the Paul Harris Fellow and Paul Harris Society givers, that $1,000 giving level, that's another substantial giving level. 37, almost 38,000 Rotarians gave 2016-17, almost 39,000 last Rotary year, to almost $50 million. Incredible. And these are the two giving levels that really are our focus. We love our major donors. We love those huge 5, 6, 7 figure gifts that come in, but we don't count on those to drive the foundation. It's all of you every day in the trenches at your club, giving at the levels that you do, that you're comfortable with, that fit your budget, that help the foundation be as successful as we are. And speaking of goals, this is more for a club perspective, but goals are important, whether it's our own personal individual goals, our own individual philanthropic goals. How do we want to give as individuals, or at the club level, what do we want our club to look like as far as givers go? You can go into the goal center in my Rotary, set those goals for the year, and it helps set the tone for the Rotary year about what your Rotarians, what the expectation is for your Rotarians, and overall what the club expectation is, and work towards that throughout the Rotary year. And I guess that's it for my slides here, but I wanted to make sure to run through those with you because there are some important points there, and I think that's where the payoff is here for us and all of us in this Zoom meeting today as volunteer fundraisers, that your impact is huge, can't be understated. And what we do when we go out from here is really the importance of this conversation. So again, I have maybe a couple of minutes for some questions. It's up to you guys really how long you want to hang around here, but I'll spend all afternoon with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just like to say something from the club training part of it. You know, we were fortunate in our club that Jeff actually came into our club and presented directly to us. So how I see it is that all of this information is really great. And what I'm going to try to do is work with our club trainers to do a kind of a shortened version of this, that we can get it out into all of our clubs. Because, I mean, obviously it will be super great for Jeff to go to do 53 of these throughout our entire district. And I'm sure that if he had the time, he would do it. But you know, for those of us that are here today, it's really about how do we filter this information down to every club member in our district? Because just that last little graph about like where all the donations are coming from, these $1,000 and $100 givers. I mean, that's probably 99% of the people in our district that are there. So I feel like those people need to get that information. And Jeff, this is a really influential group in our district. So if we can figure out a way to get that information and filter it down into the clubs, is super, super effective. So thank you for your time again today, and invite Jeff to your club. I mean, he's really
I started
good.
to say, and I will tell you that Jeff has actually probably already done about 10 clubs in the,
Yeah,
I would be happy to hit all 53 of them if you can encourage. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, Laura's the pimp.
Yeah, I'm the pimp, right? Because I'm a big believer in, and I know you guys will all understand this because you've told me as much. There comes a point when your mother's voice, everybody just turns off. They've heard it from me. And so when I come in, even though I do something entirely different, they're going, oh yeah, I heard that before. So, and it doesn't hurt my feelings at all, really. Yeah, but you know, hearing it from the highest level at Rotary International is very effective. So do utilize this. The other thing I just want to take a couple of minutes. Thank you, Jeff, to say it was an amazing annual fund presentation. And we could go into as deep a level with endowment and with grants, and Aaron, and you know, so if you end up with any extra time or weeks that you want to do that, that information's also there. But in answering Doug's question, right? So encourage those $10 a month Rotary Direct people, encourage the $84 a month Rotary Direct people. That's a real easy way for people these days to just put it in and get your points on your airline card that we may all in one day be able to use. If not, somebody said they put theirs on their Costco card, so they actually get cash back for their donation. It's absolutely fantastic, right? So encourage that kind of thinking. And then the other way is that there is a real easy way right now to ask Rotarians to give that doesn't cost them a thing. And that's to go and make a benefactor donation, a commitment, or a bequest commitment, right? You're not going to be around to care about whether that $10,000 goes to the Rotary Foundation or somebody else, right? And now is a great time to do it, because we're also trying to help DG Naomi get to her $1 million challenge for the district conference. So think about those other areas, and thank you, Jeff, for the fantastic annual funds job.
Just as an aside, I didn't find that number that you asked about Mariko, about the Rotary Direct in the district. I'll try to find that and get back to you guys. Maybe I'll send it to Laura or Naomi, and they can pass it along. So I'll try to find that number for you.
Jeff, we want to be respectful of people's time, so anybody who wants to drop off now can. But Jeff said he's going to spend the whole afternoon with us. So if anybody who wants to stay on, we can continue with what he has to present. So I think, Jeff, you're going to show us reports or something, but you can go on as long as people want to stay on. So those who want to leave can leave now.
But before you leave, I'm sorry, this is, can we just take a official group photo with Jeff? So if everyone can look at the screen and smile. Wait, sorry, let me get this chat off. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And just like a few reminders before everyone leaves. So if you haven't yet done your assignment, please, you can still go and do your assignments. As a reminder, the 200, if you haven't paid, I'll probably next week, I'll reach out to the ones who we haven't received payment from, but if you haven't paid your fee yet, don't forget to pay your fee. Mentors, hopefully you're still reaching out to your mentors. If you haven't, please reach out to them for this month. You will be getting new mentors in February. So I'll be sending you an email about that shortly, very shortly. I don't know how January has gotten here. I don't know why we're like in the middle of January. And then lastly, just a reminder, I try to keep the webpage pretty updated. So I'll put the recordings and then some of the resources that we talk about, I'll try to put it up on that webpage, including, and look in the chat because there's some interesting things, including an Instagram post that someone is doing. So there's a lot of interesting things in the chat. Take a look at that. And with that, that's all that we have. If you have to leave, thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. We're so happy. This is so inspirational for us. Such a wonderful start to the morning. I hope it is for you as well. So thank you, everyone. Please feel free to stay and, all day, because Jeff said all day he will be here with us. So thank you, guys.
I have some cupcakes to make in a little bit, so you guys can join me for that. We'll make some.
I have been following your baking. Oh my gosh, on Facebook. So anyway, thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
What's your specialty, Jeff? What's your?
I mean, I stick with cupcakes pretty consistently, but I think some of my favorite ones have been, I made a Mexican hot chocolate one that was really nice.
Oh my gosh.
What else have I made? Vanilla milkshake. I made these animal cracker ones a couple of weeks ago where I put like cream cheese frosting in the middle of the cupcake with buttercream on top. It was pretty tasty.
Oh my gosh. It's actually not fair for us to see the pictures and to hear about it because we can't taste it. Anyway, sorry, I'll give it over to you.
No, it's a great question. It's one that I get all the time in club and presentations. I'm like the cupcake now, I guess. Cupcake guy now, I guess.
Oh, we're down to the core. Hardcore people who don't need answers.
Yeah, everybody knows everything already. And that's the way I like it.
Well, hopefully they've heard it before. Yeah, right. And again, a big thank you, Dick. I'm sorry I didn't do it while everybody was on there, but thank you so very much for your new white hat contribution. That's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Dick.
Yeah.
Happy to help. We're a great organization. I mean, we really have neat people. So there'll be more after that. So
excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's really great that James, God bless him, went in and searched Hawaii and found all of these companies that do matching. So this is absolutely, that's so easy because they're already set up so that if they're anybody making a donation, then we can just tell them, be sure and ask for your company match.
So if we make Naomi's challenge, is somebody in Evanston going to bake and send us a whole bunch of cupcakes?
I would think by that time he's going to get on an airplane and bring us all cupcakes.
If
That's
that
a-
happens, I will hand deliver cupcakes.
Sounds good.
It's funny. I had one district, they were doing a fundraiser, an auction, and they asked me to make some cupcakes, but I was still early on in this whole thing and I didn't know about shipping, and like it just seemed really weird to ship cupcakes to California. So I didn't know how that was going to go. So I had to politely decline, but I guess it's taken off. So yeah, I'll deliver some cupcakes if that's the case.
If you go to the drop-down menu for Cupcakes Direct, you can get one every month.
You can.
Sorry.
You can become your own four Rotary Cupcakes of the month, right?
Holy cow.
And just to let you know about that, you know, when I was club president, I believe it was way back in the dark ages of 405, our club had a fundraiser, and I make brownies. You do cupcakes, I do brownies. It's just, you know, and so I put a nice plate with a platter with 3 dozen brownies on it and offered brownies every month, right? And didn't